It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by TheDartZone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Okay, welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Another Wednesday.
Yes, the 18th of December.
See, I knew that. Because right off the bat, right off the bat, shout out to my sister Paula. It's her birthday.
Oh, well, happy
birthday, Paula.
Yeah.
I believe, what year is this, 2013?
Last time I checked.
Oh, okay. It's not a significant number. Happy birthday, Paula. Not that she's watching.
Every year is a significant number.
Welcome to Dart Talk. Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. We got a lot to get to.
We do.
Long way to go, short time to get there. What's on the show tonight?
We got some results from the DPNY.
Okay.
We got a lot of results. We got Darts Live World Final results, as well as the PDC World Championship results.
Okay. A lot of results, yeah.
As always, we have news.
Yeah, news and some announcements.
We will announce the newcomer of the year.
We will have
on this show.
We will have. He's waiting in the wings. We have. We had some nice nominations. It was, to be honest, this guy kind of ran away from the field when it comes to newcomer of the year. Some discussion about what makes up a newcomer and stuff like that is like, our editorial board is the sole arbiter of that sort of a thing. So that was a long meeting.
We also
news and announcements. Yeah,
we got some announcements. Possible rant if we got time, and
I did bring my notes. Well, because just thinking about this makes me irritated. You saw the quotes that I pulled from this 500 comment post on Joe Cheney's Facebook page. So if we have time, we'll get to that because it's just going to aggravate me and ruin my Christmas. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. Right off the bat, we're moving to 8 o'clock.
Yes.
So I know we've been doing it at 7:30 for
a year.
Lord knows how long, but your job, it's you really can't make it here in time.
Right.
So we're moving the show from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. It's only a half hour. You guys can live with it. The people that listen live, and then the next two shows we're going to be doing on Thursday.
Correct.
So next Thursday at 8,
the 26th, and the 2nd of the new year.
Hopefully, I won't be still hungover. Right.
On the 26th or the 2nd?
On the 2nd.
Okay.
The 26th, I mean, Christmas, it's more of a food coma than anything else. Yeah. Although I must say,
depends on your family. Some people might be more hungover the day after Christmas than on
I watched so much darts online that I had a dart watching hangover.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I watched all the first round PDC
it was all, what, 4
stuff.
in the morning?
Yeah. I watched darts in 3 continents. I mean, I watched the PDC in London, right? The first round matches started last week, so I'm pretty sure our bracket is far from healthy.
We're busted already.
Oh, by the way, yeah. So we'll get to the PDC results in the second half of the show. Then I watched part of. They were streaming the DPNY finals, so I watched part of that, and then at some point, kind of tried to take a nap so I could get up at 4 in the morning and watch the Darts Live, where, I don't know, it wasn't deliberate. It just like all the Americans kind of ended up in the same quarter. So it's just sort of like, oh, this is, not good. It turns out, 2 Filipinos were in the final, and I'm like, well, they should have been in the same bracket if you're going to do it that way. The Creature did good.
Okay.
Boris the Creature Kretschmar did good, made top 4. So we'll do the Darts Live results. We'll do the results after the show.
Giving spoiler alerts already? You should probably do a disclaimer before you talk about it.
Yeah, let's disclaim pretty much everything. Where did I put it? See, I had to move everything around. Okay.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, so we disclaimed all that. We did the thing with the Dart Zone, stay in the zone.
We did.
Dart Zone. We did.
You forgot about that already? Yeah. No. We got
No,
that.
I'm just frazzled.
We got that covered.
I mean, I don't like doing stuff at the last minute. I mean, it just sort of gets me, kind of off kilter, somewhat. So announcements. What announcements do we have? We had a couple.
Well, we
right?
covered the shows on Thursday. We
Okay.
covered. Next week we'll have this week. So we got newcomer of the year. Next week we're going to have most outstanding performer.
Right.
Performance.
Well,
Performance.
most outstanding performance.
Performance.
And this was, we got some very interesting nominations. So this will be nice. I kind of like this better because there was like a lot of exceptional things. And then somebody's like, well, is it like, your best performance in one event or your best performance in a weekend or your best performance overall? Because, there was, kind of some notable things. We had 4 America's Tour events, and they were won by 2 people, right? So that kind of went down to the wire. And then there was a lot of stuff. So that's next week. Next week is most outstanding performance.
Correct.
And then Darter of the Year will be the January 2nd
Right.
show.
Along with Jack Wagon of the Year.
And Jack Wagon of the Year.
Right.
Keep those nominations coming.
Right.
Okay, so we have that. What else?
That's pretty much it. Well, I mean, we'll
We
North American Championship
Well, yeah.
series next week.
Yeah,
and,
the deal with that is I got an email from the powers that be on the North American Championship, which is going to be March 14th, 15th, and 16th in Michigan. And basically, if you're already qualified, you're getting an email. And basically, what they're saying is that if you played in 2 events, then you're qualified to play in the championship.
All right.
And then they're going to use the North American Order of Merit for seeding purposes. Okay? If you're not qualified, you can get qualified by either becoming a NAPTA member, which I have an issue with that, actually. I don't know why they're doing it that way. It seems to me that if you're supposed to, here's the deal. Okay, here it's a championship event. You're supposed to play 2 events to get in. Okay, fine. Or pay us and join our club, and you're in.
Yeah.
And that's like, well, then why am
Why-
I playing the
why
events?
ever
Why
go
don't
to-
I just join your little club,
Right.
and then I'll be in your championship? That's the kind of thinking that kills me. That's what kills the ADO. Right? It's like, because it becomes a club championship. It doesn't become a national championship where it's open and you qualify. It's just like, oh, yeah, be in our little club and you can play. It's like it just diminishes the whole event. So I don't know why they came. We'll get one of those guys
Is it
to talk
possible
about
they're
it.
looking?
It's down the line.
Is it a way to get more entries though?
Again, this obsession with getting more entries has to be rethought, because here's the problem is, like, if all you're interested in is getting in more entries and more entries and more entries, then you're not really running a competition. Look at the PDC. Look at the PDC as a model that works. They don't want more entries, right?
Okay.
This is how many we're going to take, and you guys fight it out to see who's going to make it. And they have tiers in the PDC, right? If you're not in the top 32, you got a rough road to hoe, because they have big money tournaments that only the top 32 get invited, right? So if you're 33rd, you're kind of halfway on the outside looking in, right? Plus, if you're not seated in the top 32, you could get Phil Taylor in the first round. I mean, they had John Part. I watched John's first round match. John got through in the first round, and they were talking about, he didn't have a real good year on the tour, and they're like, well, he lost to Michael Van Gerwen in the first round, and he lost Phil Taylor in the first round, and he lost to James Wade in the first round. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of hard to increase your ranking when in the first round you're playing top 4 players every single week.
Right.
Well, that's why it's valuable to get seeded. So I'm watching this PDC thing, and I'm watching these seeded players that are going to drop out of the top 32, and they're going to disappear. But the most shocking thing, and getting off track, and we need to get to the newcomer of the year, but while I'm on the subject, you're talking about these guys want to get more entries. The PDC attitude, they had Rod Harrington on saying, well, we need to get rid of the deadwood.
Okay.
Right? These guys, you got guys coming up, guys that are working at their game, guys that are dedicated, guys that are raising the level of their game, and these veteran players who have enjoyed the spoils of the PDC and been seeded for years and years, all of a sudden it's like, hey, if he doesn't win this match, he's out of the top 32. If he doesn't win this match, he's out of the top 16, and so on. We're going to, there are very familiar names that you don't see anymore, and there's going to be more after this year that, guys may be dropping off the map. Like, where was Dennis Ovens this year? You don't see Peter Manley anymore. All the guys that were like top 10 players when I first started playing, the only one that's left is Taylor, right? Because I started playing, and paying attention to this in like 2004 and stuff. And, Colin Lloyd was number 4. I mean, Colin Lloyd was out in the first round. I mean, he's going to, that's going to hurt him, right? He was seeded this year. Next year, he's not going to be seeded unless he goes deep in some of the other tournaments during the year. I mean, this is kind of like Daytona. Your whole season.
Right.
You set up your season at the beginning of the year, not at the end of the year. It's kind of a weird kind of thing. I mean, because it's still 2013. But really, next year is all determined by how you finish in this one tournament because the money's so unbalanced. There's so much more money in this tournament. We talked about that last week. Anyway, let's talk newcomer of the year, right? So we have a new well, I hate to admit it, but sometimes I need
Please
help.
do.
Well, sometimes I need help.
Okay.
So I went on Craigslist and I put on a little
For
ad.
newcomer of the year?
No, well, let me finish. I mean, I put on that we need an unpaid intern to do research for us.
Yeah.
And actually, we got a response. So we have an unpaid intern that actually was kind enough to do some research for us. So if I could find it, I will tell you the newcomer of the year. I mean, we had some good nominations, but to be honest with you, where did I put it? I have it here. Hang on. Here it is. I have the. This is the resume of our newcomer of the year.
Okay, let's hear it.
So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. He won 4 open events in Canada: St. John's, Medicine Hat, Regina, and Calgary. He won the Canadian Open. He made the final of the PDC London Open, the PDC Kingston Open, the PDC London, both of them. He made top 16 in Darts Live, and in 2 Darts Live in the big stage 8, and then in the Americas Tour, he made top 16?
Top 16 in both.
5th in the Canadian Nationals, top 16, top 8. He won the doubles cricket at the Bullshooter. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. He made the finals at the PDC in Sacramento and the semi in the other one because that was a double dip thing. I mean, that's a pretty good year.
Oh, yeah.
And he managed to turn 21.
All at the same time.
All at the same time. I mean, so as far as a newcomer of the year, I mean, we had some good nominations. I thought Mike Maloney, it was a good nomination for him. I mean, he went to the New World Dart Series in Vegas in April, the only steel tournament the guy's ever played, and made top 8, I think. So to make top 8 in that field in your first steel tournament ever, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
And then I thought Renee Ripple had a good year. Renee Ripple's, I thought, had just picked up darts like a year ago, when it turns out, she'd been kind of scuffling around. Kind of playing local and stuff before that. I don't know what that is. That can't be good, though. Okay. We still running? Everything's still working?
We're still good.
That was kind of a weird little
All
message.
right.
So anyway, do
we need a drum roll? Which I can't do.
Do we need a drum roll?
Yeah.
No. Oh, for our newcomer of the year? Mm-hmm. Well, here, we'll see. Hang on. So we got to do this.
Oh, yeah.
So let's get Sean Narain on and talk to Dart Talks 2013 newcomer of the year. Sean, are you still with us? Hello, Sean. Earth to Sean. I hope we didn't lose him.
He fell asleep. We're 28 minutes late.
Maybe he did. Maybe he just left.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so while we're waiting for Sean to actually get his
To hit the mute button.
thing, it looks like I'm getting ripped in the chat room by our unpaid intern who's saying I got something wrong. What did I get wrong? I think Sean's coming on here. While we get Sean on, hey Sean, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. Steve Poncielman here with Mystery Mark. First off, we want to congratulate you on being Dart Talk's 2013 Newcomer of the Year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know if you were listening. We ran down some of your results. It looks like you had a pretty good year.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Well, I got a top 16 and top 8 in the Americas Tour events, but that's about the only clarification there.
Okay. Well, it's
Now
not
somebody's
like-
getting fired for that.
Well, can you fire an unpaid intern?
Well, yeah.
Do you just then you just rehire him the
just-
next day
right.
or something? Well, I don't know. To be honest with you, Sean, I never really watched you play until you came to Chicago for the PDC, and what was that, in June or July or something like that? And I was really impressed with your game, and since then it looks like you were on quite a tear.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was really trying to impress you that time. I wanted to get mentioned on your show.
Well, mission accomplished.
But yeah, this year was a hard year. So like, there was lots of tournaments every weekend. I was going off. So just wanted to make sure that I was on my best behavior and trying my hardest to come home with feeling that I've accomplished something, and thus the last tournament didn't go so well. Enough said about that
Does
one.
that have anything to do with the amount of tournaments you played? Travel?
Yeah, I start to feel like I need to own up to something. It becomes been a lot of pressure near the end of the year, not so much the beginning of the year, around the London time when that was going well, and started to continue to do well, and then I wanted to continue to do well, and then it kind of got a little frustrating during the matches at that point, if you understand where I'm coming from there.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. You're frustrated when things aren't going the way you expected or the way you wanted them to go.
Yeah, or maybe trying too hard,
Okay. Well, let's hold that thought, Sean. We're going to take our first break. It's going to be a real quick one, and then we'll come back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, and Sean Narain, and we'll be right back.
views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts, and Sean Narain, who's still on the line with us. How are the cookies there, Sean?
They were good.
Very, very
They
polite.
were good. You're already done with them.
Very polite young man. He mutes his mic so he could have a bite of a cookie. What kind of cookies are they?
The
Were.
Cadbury collection. Huh?
Fancy.
Christmas ice
He's a Cadbury cookie guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well maybe that'll help you with your frustration. A little comfort
Yeah.
food. Let's talk about that because I think this is something a lot of players can relate to. You've had apparently, from what I'm getting from you, some kind of emotional ups and downs this year, as far as your game goes.
Yes. So the way I could explain it, I guess, is around the Canadian Open time there, lots of people around me. It was a fun times and no pressure, just throwing darts and went along, got to London, still doing well, coming in second at least, and then continuing on to the Darts Live, did well. And then, like I said, I started to get the want to continue to do well. Like if I lost, it was going to be the end of the world again. I haven't gotten that feeling for a long time. I thought that I got rid of it a couple of years ago, and now it is frustration, but it's along with the pressure. It's a lot of pressure coming with the frustration, if you know what I'm saying there.
Yeah, let me play a dime store psychologist for a second here. You did well. You won some big events. And now what? You have more expectations than you had before when you arrive at a tournament. Whereas, at the beginning of the year, you weren't expecting to win. But now that you won, like the Canadian Open and some of these other events, now you're expecting to win every time you show up?
Yeah. Well, not quite like that, but yeah, I get upset a little bit more in my head when I don't win now,
Okay, I guess things were going so bad for you in New Orleans that you were missing so badly. You tried to throw your darts in a garbage can, and you missed the garbage can. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, that's a pretty big miss.
Yeah.
I know. I bounced
And you
off.
took your time, right? It wasn't like you just winged him at it.
No.
He
I took
plays
my
pretty
time.
fast. Right.
Well, I've slowed down over the year too. That's another thing. I started the year off really quick, and now I'm more deliberate towards every shot when I shoot.
Okay, well, you're getting older now, so you're slowing down.
Yeah, I guess it's more wiser.
More wiser. What'd you do? Turn 21 like a couple of months ago?
And yeah, I'm like Gandalf, man.
You're like, yeah. So, did you personally know Jesus? Was he a nice guy? I mean, are you that old? I mean, I don't know. That's a ripoff from some movie trailer I saw. No, it's funny. The reason I kind of wanted to talk about this is I spent, God knows, 15 or 20 hours watching these first round matches in the PDC. I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of that.
Well, no, they gotta cover that a little better. I was thinking of that today. I was gonna tell you, like, I keep going on Google, and I want to just be able to type in World Championship PDC 2014, and there you go, boom, bada bing, click, and I'm watching.
Well, yeah, you
That's
gotta.
what I want.
Yeah, you have
But
to
I
buy
can't
a.
get that.
Well, you got to buy a subscription from their website, and then you watch it on their website.
Yeah,
You
but
watch the whole thing.
that's harsh, man. That's harsh.
Well,
You don't.
I don't know what else to tell you. If you ask me after the show if there's like some link you can find that'll show you, I might be able to help you out in theory. In theory, I would have that knowledge. In fact, there's no proof that I do.
I'm Canadian, Steve, and I never even bought the subscription to the hockey channels in my house. So, We can't be doing the darts subscriptions. We need the Justin TV. It don't work anymore or anything. We need stuff like that.
Well, you
where
need
they're-
you need to know where to look, but we'll take that offline. Just send me a message on that stuff. I can usually find that stuff. But the reason I brought it up was there was some interesting first round matches where you're looking at these top English players who basically their body language and kind of the faces they make and everything, they're convinced that that you don't even belong on the same board as them. That's the attitude they have, where it's never been so pronounced. I mean, I've heard like these guys, like I remember James Wade a year or two ago saying the World Championship, they should just start out at the top 32 and get rid of all these first-round matches, these play-in matches. But there's already been, I think, 3 or 4 seeded players that are out. This attitude that you have when you go into a match, I'm curious, because it sounds to me like yours has changed. Your attitude has changed. Your expectations when you go to the board for a match are different than they were, say, at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year. Is that true?
Yeah, well, at the beginning of the year, let's say I played Larry or something, Larry Butler, and I would have just played to.
He personally knows Jesus, I think.
I would have just played to impress him, and make him know that I'm here, and now, I'd be upset. I don't know if I lost to him. I wouldn't want to lose to him, and I wouldn't think in my head that I should lose to him.
That's an interesting. We've never talked about the role that confidence plays in your game. Is that something is that your frustration? Is these losses that you're having that you're not expecting, or I'm curious. With the emotional ups and downs, because I kind of try to avoid that stuff myself. I try not to get too high with a win or too low with a loss. But some of these other guys, especially the guys I see, playing overseas, play with tremendous confidence, and it seems like it helps them.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's about it. When I'm over there, I mean, I've never won over there, but I play better, because usually I look at them like they're nothing, they don't mean anything, and sometimes maybe this is the wrong thing to say to myself, but because of the whole politics and everything, maybe as an North American player, sometimes I say to myself, if I can't win over here, how could I win over there? No offense. Harsh thing to say, but it's in the mind. But it's in the mind of others.
Are you
too.
personally offended by that?
I'm not
comment?
offended by that at all.
You're not offended
No.
at all?
No.
I don't know if I'm offended or not by that.
Can you differentiate, like, when you play, if is a loss, or can you, like, if your opponent plays really well, does that ease your mind a little bit, or are you still just completely upset because you lost? Or do you always just look at yourself and how you threw, and it doesn't really matter?
I'll tell you, if like a random beat me, and sorry to say random, but if a random beat me every tournament that I played and I never knew who he was, and it just kept happening, maybe I'll start getting upset at the fact that randoms are beating me. But other than that, no, I couldn't be upset any different between a better player or what I might think is a weaker player.
Calling them randoms. I guess I kind of like that. I mean,
That would be me. I would be the random player if I
think
showed
what he
up.
means by that is somebody he's never seen before.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
yeah,
Right.
but I would
yeah.
think that a lot of those guys, a lot of randoms can actually play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what's happening. With the first round of the PDC is the randoms are showing up, and some of these guys have looks on their faces. The seeded players have looks on their faces like they expect the randoms to throw a never-ending string of 26s and not come close to hitting a double. And these guys are coming in geeked up to play and, have actually won some matches. Colin Lloyd went down bad in a deciding leg. Terry Jenkins threw a 9-darter. He was out in a deciding leg. Wayne Jones is out, which I think that was one of the things that we actually called.
One of the few.
So I don't know about that. I don't. It's interesting. I mean, you always seem to play with such confidence when I see you at the line, and you throw with such authority, and you throw so quick. You said you slowed down, but I can't imagine you slowed down that much. Why'd you slow down?
Oh, it's better, man.
Is it?
Like you said, I haven't slowed down that much, but it's better for the game.
In what way do you find it better?
I remember the first time that I started to like become good. I had this way of doing it where I'd visualize the dart in the air, and I'd visualize the route of it going to the board, and I'd lost touch with that when I got too quick, and now I'm starting to do that again.
So are you doing this like before you throw your first dart, or are you doing it before every dart?
Every dart. It's like when when you play those old school pool games and they got the whole dotted lines going up to the cue ball.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't play a lot of pool, but
going up to the cue ball.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking
like
about.
on video games,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There'd be like a guideline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm starting to create that again. Yeah. I know it sounds weird, but yeah.
No, that's an interesting. So you're visualizing your dart following the dotted line in the air all the way to the target.
Yeah, I don't see a dotted line, but yeah, that's how I can explain it. It's like a stream of that I just visualize in my head.
Okay.
It's like I'll be on the telestrator and going, here's the line of his darts, and here's the way it flowed.
Yeah, I don't know that would really work. Well, let's talk about enough with the past. Okay, let's forget about the past. Let's talk about the future now. What are your immediate, like, say, 6-9 month plan? Where are you going to be playing? What are you going to be trying to accomplish? In the upcoming months.
Well, going to the Q school to start it off after the dart vacation here. Then I'm going to go to the Vegas Open, which I'm partnered with Larry Butler there.
Okay, and, that's the Lost Wages ADO benefit tournament. Okay. So you're going to that one playing with Mr. Butler?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in Vegas, so
yeah.
Sounds like fun.
I've been there. I've seen you there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mark's wearing
my glasses.
Yeah,
you
Mark's
wearing those right now.
Which ones?
The ones from Vegas.
Mark's wearing them.
Yeah.
Mark's wearing the ones from Vegas. I'm wearing the ones from New Orleans.
The other ones are really dark.
I can barely see out of these things. I don't know.
Those things are dark.
You're lucky I took them from you. They're probably bad for your eyes. Just so you know, I could barely see. I had to take them off to go click on something. So you're going to go to when does Q school start?
I think it's mid-January. That's all I know.
Okay, and how long does that run? What's the format for that? Do you know?
Yeah, you got 4 days you play, and if you become the top 4 out of any of the day, you get a tour card for the PDC. It's kind of like the PGA tour card.
Sure.
Same business. And then if you don't happen to become top 4, there's a couple tour cards that are left over for the top on the list.
Yeah, like if they'll look at the points and add up all your results,
eight.
And then the next whatever guys get tour cards. Now let's say that you get a tour card. How often are you going to be able to go over to Europe and play PDC sanctioned events?
I'll be able to go a bit, man.
Okay.
Okay.
Enough. I can't blow off everything that's over here right away, but the first year I try and get over there, at least for 10 of the tournaments, and then the next year see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean it. I can't remember if it was Andrew Van Coverdon or somebody was posting about going to the Q school, and there was some discussion about if you're not able to go over there enough times to make it worth your while, why go to Q school? So it looks to me, or it sounds to me anyway, like you've got it planned out where you'll be able to go over there, enough times to. I mean, I don't know what you would do your first year. Just play a bunch of the players' events and try to get up high enough on the money list to get invited to the World Championships. I would think would be your goal.
Yeah, the Players Championships. Yeah, go to them for the first bit. The goal. There's only myself, or sorry, I can't say that, but there's only Jeff Smith, Ken McNeil, and John Part who are eligible right now, kind of for the World Cup. And if you get high enough on the tour list, then I can go to the World Cup.
Well, you don't have, you're not going to have much time for that. You would have to,
time for that
you'd have to go to Q school, get your tour card, and stay there, and play like a bunch of stuff because that's in February, isn't it? The World Cup, the PDC World Cup's like end of February. Am I right about that?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, it sounds like an ambitious plan.
You seem to. You said earlier that this year you played a lot of darts. Like every weekend there was darts. Do you anticipate playing more this year?
This coming year?
No. than this year, or do you think it'll be about the same, or do you think you'll be able to have a little more time?
That's all depending on the beginning of the year.
Well, we're starting to think we're willing to hire ourselves out as managers. So if you need a manager to kind of work this stuff out for you and be like, this is a tournament, go to this one, go to that one, skip this one, skip that one, we'd be happy to help, right, Mr. Mark?
Absolutely.
We'd help them out.
Sure.
Small fee,
right.
Some sort of small fee. Okay. Dart Talk Management Incorporated. Yeah.
Those glasses are expensive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
somebody's got to be the keeper of them for you.
I'm thinking we're going to need a backup pair in case we lose one of these. So where are we going to see you next? You're going to be in Vegas, and then where are you going after that?
I won't lose my next pair. I got the Oakleys.
Oh, I like those. I need a pair of Oakleys. Maybe we could work a swap, 2 for 1.
Oh yeah. They're expensive, man.
So you're going to kind of have to wing your schedule next year. Are you going to make the North American Championship in Michigan in mid-March, March 14th, 15th, 16th?
Yeah.
You going to be there?
Mm-hmm. But
okay.
There's something about the Darts Live thing. They could coincide with some tournaments. I know one coincides with the Under-21 World Championship that I'm going to.
Well, that was the other thing I wanted to ask you is you're in an odd position age-wise. It seems like you have more opportunities to play, especially on the PDC side, than you would here.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they change the way they were doing it? It's a little complicated. If you could explain it to everybody, maybe that'd be helpful.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, last year the deal was if you were under 21 or under 25 and didn't get your tour card, you could play on the Challenge Tour. But then I heard they were changing that. Okay. Well, we'll take that one offline.
I don't know anything about
Apparently,
that.
he's got 4 blue Oakleys just waiting for him. So
4 pairs of blue. Well, we only need 2 of them.
Right.
All right. We'll work on them.
So in March, I'm sure you'll come back with at least one.
We'll have to catch up with you in March and find out how you're doing. We're going to have to adopt this guy.
There's a couple things. After the Q school, if you get the tour card, of course you're on the tour.
Right.
But if you don't, there's the undercard tour for the people who went to Q school, and they're gonna have some sort of big tour throughout the year. I don't know what the prizes are or anything, but I heard it's gonna be good. So.
Well, it seems like the guy that won it last year got a tour card for 2 years, and then all his entry fees paid for the next year.
Yeah, that's the under-21 though.
Oh, that's the under-21, but you're playing in that too?
Everybody that I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll be in that for the next year. I have one more year in that one.
Aren't you over 21 now?
I don't know. I just...
You don't know if you're over 21?
Well, the tournaments got me all confused,
Oh, we confused you.
Or is it 21 and under?
I don't know.
Maybe it's 21 and under.
21 and under, and she's still 21.
That's kind of a weird cutoff. You're making it 22. That's sort of strange. Why would they do that?
It's weird.
How did
It's weird. I think
21
if you
ever become the
qualify while
age
you're
anyway?
21.
Yeah, I don't know how they ever came up with 21 as opposed to something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to
Yeah,
be
that's
the age
good.
of reason or whatever. I don't know. Well, Sean, we appreciate you coming on the show. Kind of rambling here, and I can't really see, so I have to take these glasses off, which means, you know, you're welcome to, you know, hang out there, just mute your mic and listen to the rest of the show. We have one interesting announcement that we'll get to after the next break. But we wish you all the best, and we'll definitely keep in touch with you and track your progress. And, you know, if you need managers, you know, we're for hire, right?
You know where to find us.
Anyway, 2013 Dart Talk Newcomer of the Year, Sean Moraine. Thanks for Sean Narain. Thanks for coming on the show, Sean.
No problem. I got another Dart interview I got to go and do. So.
Oh, a busy man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking the time to
My
chat with us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that. He's probably going to go do some other podcast or something. But anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. And you're listening to Dart Talk with Mark, Steve, Sean Moraine. We'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
So there you have it.
Okay, back for the second half, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Extend the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks. Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Darts, and Sean Narain, who was kind enough to join us and traipse off to another interview. What'd you think of Sean?
I liked him. Again, I always like him. He's a good.
You know, it's interesting. You know, he's very open about, talking about some stuff. You know, he's talking about getting emotionally frustrated and stuff like that. I mean, we should get Dr.
He's
D
only
back
21.
on the show. I know. we should have had Dr. D talk to him. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll get those two together on a later show. The psychiatrist we used to have on the show when we first started doing it, she was kind of funny. She moved to Savannah, actually. I want to get her to go
Georgia?
to that. Yeah. So, anyway, let's do some results. They had the DPNY in New York, their big grand final. Well, we ended up.
Did we pick it?
Well, we picked the winner,
Okay.
but we our little our long shots didn't come in
Right.
apparently. So we'll run by top 16: Joe Swick, Andrew Van Coverden, Matt Traub, Tim O'Gorman, Bob Garzone, T.J. Diarmas, Bill DeWitt, and Paul Burns. Top 8: Rich Hammond, Gary French, Timmy O'Brien, and Pat Gallagher. See, Pat let us down there.
Yeah.
Top 4: George Timpone and Jim Newman. Runner-up Ryan Vandewite, and the winner was Jimmy Widd. Jimmy Widmer.
Jimmy
won that.
Widd.
So congrats to all those guys. I watched some of it. It's fun. I just enjoy watching darts. I mean, I enjoy watching different guys and how they approach the game, how they approach the board. There's so many different ways to deliver a dart, and watching the New Yorkers. I mean, they've all got a different way of doing it. Kind of. It's sort of weird. Like I look at a guy like Tom Sawyer, and Tom Sawyer resembles. I think, I hope I don't offend him by this, he reminds me of Carolyn Mars, who's also from the Boston area. They have a similar style. And I've seen guys in Chicago that have kind of like, they all look like they kind of imitated the same guy, But the New Yorkers don't strike me that way. Like they all kind of went off on their own and came up with, their own way of doing it. So there isn't like a New York style that I could identify. Is all I'm saying. I mean,
Other than it's different than everybody else.
Yeah, I don't see like the pattern that I see in some other places. I guess is what I'm saying with that. Now you have results from Darts Live. They had their grand final in
Correct.
Hong Kong at 4 a.m. on Sunday. So let's do how the Americans do.
The Americans,
and the Canucks. Let's get them
yeah.
in there too. All right.
Donnie Joe was seeded 64th. He lost to Yuto Miyamoto. David Fadum was seeded 57th. He lost to Tamayo Tushimura, I think.
I think the T is silent, so it's Samura.
Shimura. Robert Morris lost to Rick Espinoza.
Right. He was a seeded guy. He was in the top 48 to start,
Right.
I think.
And then 33 to 48, Larry Butler lost to Randy Van Duerson, and Ray Carver, who was seeded 18th, lost to Hayes Luong.
Okay.
In your top 32, Rick Espinoza lost to Royden Lamb. Chris White lost to Scott Kirchner.
Right, because he was in like the American bracket.
Yes.
So they all ended up losing to each other.
Right.
Right. So like Benny Durst.
And then Benny Durst in top 16 lost to Randy Van Duerson.
That was top 8, I think.
Okay.
Benny and Scott. That was top 8. Yeah.
All right. Well, my script says top 16, so.
Well, that'd be wrong. See, that's where the unpaid interns come in.
There you go. Right.
That's all right. We
top
fix
4,
it on the fly.
Top 4, Randy Van Duerson lost to Lawrence Illigan,
Who won?
was
Right.
your
Yeah,
eventual champion.
It was kind of interesting. I mean, it was kind of funny. Like Boris the Creature Kretschmar won his top 8 match against Husha. And this is the thing. I mean, the Japanese guy that played today in the PDC is Boris beat him in top 8. And it's just funny, you know, I'm watching, you know, hours and hours and hours of this PDC thing. And there's two people that the crowd really get behind. They get behind this guy from South Africa because he goes on the stage and he engages the crowd. And he's got like this little dance that was actually kind of funny. He kind of went like this and then like it's kind of funny. You know, so everybody's rooting for him. And then this Japanese guy, they have like a little song they sing when he plays. So they enjoy him playing because they get to sing the song.
Nice. Okay.
And, you know, he's up there, you know, losing 25 dart games. I mean, he played horrible by the end and lost to, what was his name? Not Ben White. It was, well, whatever. Whoever seeded 32 that's Taylor's going to make mincemeat out of in a few days.
Right.
Because the guy played terrible. But it was just kind of funny, the way the crowd reacted. You know, whereas, you know, these people are having a great time at this PDC World Championship. The Darts Live crowd was polite. You know, I mean, it was like they're cheering for big shots and stuff like that, and you know, it was just kind of funny because, well, it's somewhat quiet. You know, when you watch the Darts Live, but you hear the machine, right? You hear the ding, 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 and
bells and whistles. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and actually, you know, it started to almost sound like, you know, if you hit a triple, you hear this whistle, and I started thinking, sounds like kind of like a rape whistle or something? It's like, and these guys were hitting a lot of triples, so I got a lot of whistles. Eventually, I had to turn off the sound, but the one thing that was like really cool was it was almost like a golf crowd where somebody blows like 2-foot putt.
3-footer, yeah.
Yeah, well, even closer.
Right.
Because, you know, these guys are playing so good, and every now and then, you know, somebody will just miss. And you'll just hear this. And
big shock.
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's something you don't really hear with the PDC tournaments that I thought was kind of unique with the Darts Live stuff. I mean, I just don't understand. There were a lot of people online that were kind of complaining. I mean, you know, they show... at the stages, you know, that I've seen before, they'll show top 128 matches, top 64 matches, top 32 matches. They have one board that they stream, and then they'll just throw matches on there nonstop. So you're always watching people play, but it's not like you're watching every top 8, every top 32, stuff like that. So, you know, when they do the grand final, they show the top 8 and the semi and the final, but all the people that I want to see are out.
Yeah.
Because they're all in the same quarter. So,
yeah.
I mean, it came down to, you know, Benny and Randy Van Duerson, and congrats to those guys and, you know, for everybody for qualifying and getting that far. You know, it's a high level of darts. And to be honest, you know, the guy that won, nobody played better than he did. I mean, Paul Lim kind of had a bad fifth leg when he lost in top 8 to Christian Perez, who was the semifinalist, or I'm sorry, the finalist, losing finalist, second place.
But nobody was going to beat Lawrence.
Not the way Lawrence was playing. I mean, the thing was he beat Stephen Bunting in top 8, and everybody's posting that, you know, the reason that Lawrence won was that Bunting had a bullseye that didn't count. Well, okay. I mean, the guy's played like, this is like his third soft tip tournament, and he didn't have the presence of mind to say, hey, that one's in, go fix the machine kind of thing, which is what they do. But I don't think that wasn't what it was. What it was like Lawrence could just throw double bull after double bull after double bull. That's how he ended up beating him. He was up a leg, and then in the second, the first cricket leg, he broke Bunting's throw. And, you know, that was the difference. And it's kind of what I say about this thing. You have to break a guy's throw in cricket to win this tournament.
Right.
And he won going away in the final. I mean, he just blew the guy away. I mean, he played great. I mean,
good for him.
Yeah. So it was kind of fun to see, and it's exactly what I expect. And what that tournament does do is, I'm not wild about a lot of the things they do and the way they structure it and all this stuff. And I would rather see the winner of that tournament make it to get the invite to the World Championship as opposed to the winner of the tour and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But the best player wins. In the years that I've seen it, nobody's getting lucky winning that thing, and it's pretty clear who the player of the day is. So, you know, in that sense, the format.
That's good.
I think in that sense the format works because, you know, you're designing a tournament, and isn't that what you want to do?
Right.
You want to identify the best player of the day.
Of course.
You know, I mean, so I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that. as far as the PDC stuff goes, where are we on time? We're almost up to an hour. There's no way I'm getting to this rant. Let's take our last break, and then we'll come back and we'll go through some of this PDC stuff. I don't even know if you can see that from there. Are you listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve? We'll be right back.
You are now and forevermore warned that you consume this show at your own risk, and that Dart Talk cannot be brought to justice in any court or by any government, including and not restricted to the grand spaghetti monster of the Triple 20.
Okay, back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators, Redwood Dart, Sean Narain, and Jeff Dotson, giving us some holiday bumpers
absolutely.
there. That was like pretty cool, on the spot. Ask and you shall receive. So that was pretty cool. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so the PDC, I mean, I just...
You watched as much as you could.
I have never watched the PDC stuff as closely as I did this time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as a dart player, you know, I find it fascinating. As a, you know, reporter, you know, whatever, you know, some sort of dart talker guy, it was even more compelling. You know, especially some of these post-match interviews I'm watching where, you know, Taylor's complaining, you know, this guy had a warm-up match and I didn't, and the nerves are kicking in because this tournament is so important to you know, the guys that are you know trying to move up on the tour, or guys that are trying to stay up high on the tour, and it just seems to me a lot of ego up there.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, and I'm not going to say it's disrespectful. I mean, but here's the thing about Taylor. Let's run down the first day real quick. And
John Part beat Moreno Michaels.
Yeah, Part 1, 3, 2. He struggled a bit. You know, it was a kind of a rough match. It was kind of close. Moreno Michaels played pretty good. John got him in the end, and it was kind of weird. It was like John would like kind of things would get close, and then John would try to kick it into that extra gear that he has, and then it was almost like you could see the engine kind of like so he got by him, but he'll have to play better to advance.
Peter Wright beat Joe Cullen.
Yeah, Peter Wright beat him pretty easily.
Yeah,
and Joe Cullen's a fine player, and Peter Wright just like blew right by him. I'm liking Peter for this tournament. There's a couple of guys that looked really good. Yeah, Peter Wright was one of them.
Phil
definitely.
Taylor beat Rob Zosbo, who won his play-in match in order to. That's the person who was warmed up, according to.
Well, yeah. And then Taylor's saying he's difficult to play because, he does things like he'll throw a 45 and then follow it with a ton 80. And, he miscounted on this. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, you're Phil Taylor. You're the greatest dart player ever. But are you so confident that you're just going to stand back there and critique your opponent's game while you're playing him? And that's going to somehow throw you off? Because I'll start throwing, Dutch outs. I'll start doing weird stuff if that's going to make you miss 3 darts at a double. I'll do it every time. So that was kind of funny.
Richie Burnett beat Dean Winstanley.
Yeah, and that was a great match. I mean, Richie Burnett won 3-1, but Dean Winstanley had game darts or set darts to win the 2 sets that he lost. So, Dean Winstanley's got to feel terrible.
Kicking himself?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's 1 dart at a double here, 1 dart at a double there, and he wins.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good match. It was a close match. They both played pretty good. Richie Burnett got that. I'm not convinced that Richie Burnett has a chance to win this tournament based on that first round. But, he's one of these guys, he's tough. And if you give him opportunities, he'll take advantage of them.
Jarko Kamula beat Mark Walsh.
Yeah, that was your one of your picks.
One of my upsets.
You're taking guys with K's in their name.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, Mark Walsh. I don't know. I felt bad for him. He's going to drop out of the top 32, and he may never be heard from again. And he's one of these guys. He battled dartitis and all this other stuff, and he smoked me bad at a PDC tournament. I don't know if I was telling you about that or somebody else about it.
I don't recall.
Oh, they kind of rushed me to the line. They're like, "You're up," and I'm like, "You said I had 20 minutes." No, you got to play right now. And I'm like, 2 dart warm up, and all of a sudden I'm playing, and I win the diddle and start out with 45, and he's like $140, $180, and I'm like, well, pretty sure I'm not going to hold my throw this game, and it just got worse from there. So, but a really nice guy, and struggles, just struggled. He's got a great way of delivering a dart too. He's really sophisticated. He kind of reminds me a little bit of John Lowe, and it's sad if because when you drop out of the top 32, we're not going to see him play anymore. Because the TV matches and everything, unless he works his way back up. So I was kind of sad about Mark Walsh.
Kevin McDine beat Wayne Jones.
Yeah, we picked that one. Kevin McDine's another guy I've played, so I kind of, familiar with his game. And he's a guy that was right on the edge of top 32 and dropped off the map and is trying to come back. So it's kind of good to see. He actually should have won by more than 3-2. He outplayed Wayne Jones pretty bad.
Pierre Larson, who won his play-in match, also then beat Terry Jenkins.
Yeah, Pierre Larson averaged in the 90s, played great.
Yeah.
Best darts I've ever seen the guy play by a mile. And, Terry Jenkins, he threw a 9-darter. There were 2 9-darters that day. There was nice. A 9-darter in the next match, too. And, Terry Jenkins, I mean, it's like, he gets in a deciding leg. He's got 3 darts at a double. He doesn't hit it. He loses. And he goes home, and he's got to just be like, I mean, darts can be a cruel game. And, it's kind of funny, I'm watching the Bears, and they're talking about the team rallying behind the quarterback who's coming off an injury and replacing a backup that did really well and all this team stuff. And I'm like, yeah, well, there's no team.
Yeah.
When you're up at the Yankee, you're
right.
on your own, and I don't know.
Ian White beat Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson's also got a brother who played a couple of days later, was basically getting pounded, but all of a sudden, boom, 9-darter. Just from out of nowhere.
Yeah.
After a leg where, he was barely hit a triple, he just goes up and boom, 9-darter. It was really sort of like, are you kidding me? But that's the thing. That's the thing that the Brits are finding out at this tournament. They're finding out that, people are catching up. 2 years ago, some of these play-in matches and first-round matches were absolute horrible blowouts.
Okay.
And it's not that way this year. There's seeds falling.
Robert Thornton beat Max Hopp.
Yeah. Max Hopp's one of these good young players. I mean, Robert Thornton didn't really have
a problem.
Not really. I mean, he looked, but he was fighting it a little bit too. I mean, he wasn't really, playing, his top game. He played well enough to win, but
Gary Anderson beat Mark Dudbridge.
yeah, they were doing a lot of Dudbridge coming back. He had elbow problems, had some weird nerve thing, and didn't play anywhere near well enough to. If he played like that, he wouldn't have even qualified. I mean, he played, pretty poorly by his standards, I'm sure he'd say.
Julio Barbaro, who won his play-in match, lost to Andy Hamilton.
Yeah, it's funny. Julio Barbaro is a Spanish guy who is a soft tip guy, like a soft tip, not a manufacturer, but like vendor or something.
Distributor?
I guess he's like a soft tip vendor or something in Spain, where soft tip, I guess, is pretty big. And, he's obviously throwing 18-gram soft tip darts with steel points. They go in the board nice and level. He scored great. I mean, he played really well. I actually, sent him a little thing. Hey, you look good up there. Again, is a guy, these guys that primarily play soft tip have a hard time finishing, and he had a hard time finishing anything. I'm talking about he'd go ton 40, ton 40, ton 40, and not handle the 81, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of surprising, and Andy Hamilton was sweating. Andy Hamilton was like, "Are you kidding me?" And this guy was on him every leg, scoring. He scored just as well as Andy, if not better. He just couldn't finish. So it was kind of sad to see.
Paul Nicholson beat Stuart Kellert.
Yeah, I kind of knew that would
Yeah,
happen.
I
believe I mentioned that.
You might have.
Yeah. Oh, it was
That'll
a big
happen,
upset. Yeah.
That'll happen.
First on Sunday.
John Henderson beat Dave Chisnell.
Yeah, Chizzy,
That's
that guy is gonna end up, seeking therapy. Chisnell. Because, everybody's telling him you should be this guy, you should be this guy, you should be this guy, and he's got matched darts and literally stops. And the commentators are like, it took him 21 seconds to get to the line to throw. He's got 3 clear at 36.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes a deep breath and all this stuff and gets to the line. And I'm like, how on earth would you approach those 3 darts any differently than all the darts that it took, all the darts you threw to get there?
Yeah.
Why would you suddenly grind to a halt? And, they were good misses. I mean, they were kind of like dead center on the wire, but they didn't go in. And Henderson's one of these guys that, and this was the one thing that I took out of all these days, was because we're going to talk about Darren. And this is the one thing that I really wished Darren had that John Henderson had. John Henderson's attitude is like, I am happy to be here, and I'm going to do the best I can, and whatever happens, happens. And no matter what, I'm going to have a smile on my face. And that is not Darren Young's attitude. And we talked about that, I don't know, last week or the week before, about the expectations you put on yourself. Like,
Sure.
That's why I kind of wanted to get
Well, even Sean brought it up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
That's because I think that's something that we should probably delve into a little bit more. The frustration and the pressure you put on yourself that ends up hampering your performance. And I didn't think Darren played badly, but we'll get to that. But anyway, yeah, John Henderson, ruined Dave Chisnell's year.
Yeah.
And the year ain't even started yet.
Van Barneveld beat Jamie Lewis.
Yeah, Raymond Van Barneveld, very solid, no contest.
Brandon Dolan beat Colin Osborne. Colin Osborne won his play-in match and then lost to Brendan.
Yeah, and no big surprise there.
Jamie Caven beat Yeli Clausen.
Yeah, Yeli Clausen's another one of these guys that's going to have you may not see him play much.
Okay.
Because, he's going to be far out of the top 32, and he's going to have to be playing in. And the way he's playing, he's not going to beat anybody.
Right.
He's really in poor form.
Ricky Evans beat Ronnie Baxter.
Yeah, that was impressive. Ricky Evans is one of these up-and-coming young guys who throws, real fast. And he beat Ronnie Baxter like a drum. Just beat him like a drum. And, every, 3 or 4 legs, Ronnie would get a whack at a double and not come close to hitting it. And, pretty impressive performance. Ricky Evans absolutely wiped him out. And Ronnie's another guy, maybe dropping out of the top 32,
right.
Maybe somebody you don't see much anymore. But for Rod Harrington to be saying we got to get rid of the Deadwood, I found that just an astounding thing for somebody to say. I have a feeling he's going to hear about that.
Kim Hybricks won the sibling rivalry, beating Ronnie.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that. I have 4 brothers,
Mm-hmm.
and if any of them played darts, it would this is what the matches would kind of be, except they're pushing and shoving probably.
With you, right?
With my brothers and I, yeah, at some point, if I pull ahead, they start cheating. But no, it was a weird match, and Ronnie Heibricks, I basically said Kim would kill him. Ronnie Heibricks played great, just played
And
great.
still didn't win.
Well, a big out at the right time, kind of bailed out Kim.
Yeah.
But Kim basically was outplayed the whole time, and I think Ronnie ended up with one of the highest averages of the first round. He averaged,
really?
I think, 97 and lost. It was just, he just couldn't hit the double at the right time, and but basically outplayed him, the whole way.
Devin Peterson, who won his play-in match, then beat Steve Beaton.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I wasn't sure that he should even have won his play-in match because the guy he played, this Sapup guy from Malaysia, kind of threw an awkward-looking dart. They're both a little unorthodox, Peterson and Sapup, but Sapup was like pounding a 20 and just couldn't hit a double, and kind of gave it away. And the match with Beaton, I mean, Beaton started out fine, and then just couldn't hit darts at the right time, and then Peterson, I think, won 3 legs with double one. So it was kind of a weird, it was kind of a weird match, and the crowd is, here's Steve Beaton, who's won the Lakeside in like '95, right, 18 years ago. So he's a known guy. Mm-hmm. He's done commentary on Sky and BBC and stuff. I mean, so he's a well-known Englishman in England. And they're all cheering for this dude from South Africa because he does this kind of cool little dance at the beginning. I'm just sort of like, playing to the crowd there is tricky, but this guy's figured it out. So that was kind of cool.
Mervyn King beat Darren Young.
Yeah.
Pretty easily.
Well, I don't know. That was about as painful a dart match to watch as I've ever watched because, Darren's the only American in there. I feel like I know Darren's game pretty well, and I felt like he'd have a pretty good chance of beating Mervyn. Mervyn King played great. The first 2 sets, he averaged about 100 and was just rolling around. And, the funny thing was Darren didn't really play that bad. Darren had a lot of ton 37s. He had some ton 40s. But he would throw 1 or 2 darts a leg into the 1 or the 5, and that was enough.
And that was it.
Yeah, that's the difference between being on 70 and being on, 157. Mm-hmm. And, the first 2 legs, Darren's looking at, 3-digit outs, and I think he might have had 1 dart at a double that he missed, and that was it in 2 sets. Now, the third set, King started, the first leg and basically threw nothing. And Darren had a chance to take that leg. He didn't do it. And then things just got bad after that. I mean, Darren got frustrated. And at one point, I think he chucked a couple of darts, and I just sort of covered my eyes, and I'm like, oh, my God. And then he came back. He's down 2 legs to nothing, or was it 2 legs to 1? No, it's 2. He's down 2 legs to 1, and he goes ton 80, ton 40, ton 65 to leave 16, and then misses 5 rounds at a double, something like that. He ended up, the match stats, Darren missed 19 of 20 darts at doubles. But most of them were in that last leg. And Mervyn King was like out of sight and just throwing 60s, like finish his leg so we can move on, And, Darren just couldn't get the double in. And I felt bad for him. I mean, when you start missing at double 1, 2 or 3 rounds in a row, I mean, it takes you back to your beginner days. I mean, nobody wants to, nobody wants to do that. But, Mervyn gave him opportunities to kind of climb back in the match, and he couldn't get it done. So it was just painful to watch, and I felt bad for him. But he'll every year he goes there, he seems to play better. And Darren played way better than some of the guys that won these matches, earlier in the day. Mervyn King probably played better than anybody did on the first day in the first 2 sets. And the third set got a little weird, but
right.
Mervyn King played great, and it's he played world-class darts. So you got to give him a hand for that.
Bo Anderson beat Colin Lloyd.
Yeah, that was today. That was yesterday. And Bo Anderson is the brother of the guy that threw the 9-darter from out of the blue,
right?
And comes down to a deciding leg, Colin Lloyd played okay, but he's not playing as well as he was like 5-6 years ago. And Bo Anderson, they're actually diddling. I was watching this with Jill. Jill was all excited. She was rooting for Bo Anderson. I don't know why, but she was. And he dead center double corked. He one-holed Colin Lloyd on the diddle, and you're looking up. He's missed a dart at a double. He's sitting on 16, and Lloyd threw like a 40 to leave 244. And I'm like, wow, there's no way on earth he's going to miss 9 darts at a double at this. And he closed him out. And again, Colin Lloyd may be, you may not be seeing him much anymore either.
Vincent Vandervoot beat Matt Clark.
Yeah, another guy, Matt Clark, fine guy that I hung out with a little bit one year. He's got a very simple way of throwing a dart, but just couldn't hit stuff at the right time. And you can kind of, if you watch these matches closely, you can tell when guys are searching for it. They get one in, and then then the next one's in the 1, and then the next one's in the 20. I mean, he couldn't throw 3. He wasn't in enough of a groove to just throw 3 darts, in the same place, round after round, which is what it takes to win these things. So
Zoran Lurchbacher won his play-in match, and for that, he got to play Michael Van Gerwen and lost.
And it says 3-0. He actually is a pretty good player. I was actually impressed by him. He had a nice delivery, he had a good solid grip, he threw a proper dart, and he just got bullied. I mean, whenever Van Gerwen, whenever things got close, he'd pull out a ton 80, he'd take out like a ton plus out, and do the little like woo, and it's he's tough to deal with. Michael Van Gerwen is playing with a lot of confidence, and I don't know. I mean, if you compare the way and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch Adrian Lewis today because I had to come in and do the show. But Van Gerwen's going to be tough. He's going to be tough to beat. Phil can get him. Adrian Lewis can get him, but I don't think anyone else can. I think you can write off some of these guys like Whitlock and James Wade and stuff. Not based on what I've seen so far. No chance. Yeah, they have no chance.
And speaking of that, Whitlock beat Ross Smith.
Yeah, it was pretty clinical. Ross Smith played, I wouldn't say he played scared. It was his first time on that big stage, and you could kind of tell. He throws some good rounds. He throws some bad rounds. I mean, and, Whitlock would just sort of be like, okay. If he dropped a leg, trying to think if Ben Smith or Ross Smith maybe should have won that first set, but kind of missed some doubles. I mean, But Simon played pretty solid, but he didn't play. I don't think he played anywhere near as well as you need to play to advance in this thing. And then And then the stuff from today,
which you didn't get to watch.
Well, Hashimoto Paul Lim was the match I really wanted to see, and I didn't really get a chance to watch much of it. Justin Pipe beating Aaron Monk, no big surprise. Michael Smith winning, a horrible match.
Really?
Yeah, just a horrible match. He played so bad. He'll play better against Taylor, but him beating Taylor would be like an upset to end all upsets. It'd be more than like us beating the Russians in hockey. I mean, it'd just be something ridiculous. Adrian Lewis beating Dennis Smith. I guess, Dennis Smith's another guy who's basically deadwood, right? They're going to, these guys are going to, these veteran names that we're all used to seeing, I think are going to start, disappearing. And he's another one. Andy Smith, Steve Brown, I mean, Pie Man, I don't know. I didn't think he played all that great, but I don't know. I like Steve Brown. He's got an interesting thing. He opened up some cafes they call it like Cafe 501. So kids can go, hang out, get a milkshake, and play darts. And he's got like his little dart academies and stuff. So he's doing stuff on the side with Dudbridge that it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. They said he does this thing where, they have black belts and yellow belts in judo.
Yeah, right.
He's doing it with like little kid darters. So he's like, when you see a little kid darter in a black shirt, there's a kid that can play. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I mean, what a great concept. I mean, judo got big, or karate got big in the States back when they were doing like kung fu fighting and everything. People actually sent their kids to learn kung fu, stuff like that.
Right.
It didn't help them much in the alley, but whatever. But it's kind of interesting that they're doing it this way. I'm really curious in 5 years if any of these kids really come through and start performing, because the PDC has it right. They've got their farm system feeding players in, and these guys look pretty good. Ricky Evans looked pretty good, beating Ronnie Baxter, and he had this look on his face like, did you really think I'd lose? I mean, the confidence thing and the ego that these guys have is the one thing I took away, and we'll wrap the show up. But the one thing I took away from watching all this PDC stuff is the attitude and the ego of these top players, good and bad.
Yeah.
Right? Because, ego, people can do some ugly things.
Right, of course.
Right? But it's just kind of funny, this idea somehow that you don't belong on the same board as me, as fuel. See,
sure.
I don't know that. I don't know if I've ever had that attitude. Maybe I must have. Right? If I'm playing a player that I know is nowhere near my caliber, do I have that attitude? I don't know.
Well, you don't know, but I mean, yeah. Well, you want to do the best you can, so you have to almost have that attitude to keep it up. So you don't want to digress and all of a sudden be playing poor darts and then to your next match.
I don't know. I remember Jill saying something to me once, I think. She's like, I always play good against so-and-so, but then I never play good against, another so-and-so. And I'm like, well, then when you're playing the other so-and-so, pretend you're playing the first one.
Yeah.
And, I wonder if it's that simple.
I doubt it.
I think somebody would have figured that one out by now.
That's the theory of if you're giving a speech, pretend everybody's in their underwear. Just doesn't.
That's just to help your nerves. That's just to help you feel comfortable. Well, yeah, that seems a little.
Pretend you're playing somebody else.
Somewhat perverted, but I don't remember where I heard that one. That's a common one. All right, so what are we doing next week? We're Thursday at 8:00.
Correct.
That's 9:00 Eastern, 8 Central, 6 Pacific,
7 Mountain,
3 in the morning in London. And what are we doing? We're doing most outstanding performance.
Performance, correct.
And we'll do more PDC results. We'll do a little Lakeside preview, maybe too.
And
I'll
maybe
look at
we'll
the
have a
Lakeside
rant.
brackets. Yeah, there's no way to have time for the rant. Although I have my notes here now, so we'll do the rant next week. But yeah, I started showing the notes to Mark before the show, and I started getting irritated.
Right.
That threw me off, I swear. That irritates the heck out of me. So we'll do that next week. Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening. We'll hang out in the chat room for a while.
Happy holidays again.
We did misspeak about one thing. I said NAPTA instead of what letter was I missing?
A P.
NAPTA pop.
Nap.
Look,
NAP.
if it's so confusing that I don't know what the initials are, then maybe it's not my problem.
DPA.
Yeah. Okay. So go join that one to get in, as opposed to the people that actually played in.
And you can still get in by just paying your fee.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm sure nobody cares what I think, but. State for the record that's what is that?
I'm sure we also made more than one mistake, just nobody's called us on it yet.
Yeah, well. Okay, anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We'll hang out for a little while, and we'll be back next Thursday at 8:00. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and we'll dart talk to you later.